Everyone's convinced that saying, "That's not in my budget," out loud makes you look poor. That saying the actual number, $40, "not tonight, I'm skipping this one," is social suicide. So most people do the opposite. They stay quiet. They order the thing they can't really afford, split the bill they didn't budget for, upgrade the trip they were on the fence about, all to avoid one slightly awkward sentence in front of people who, statistically, are worried about the exact same thing and also saying nothing. Here's the myth bust. The silence is the expensive part, not the number. People who openly state their spending limits, a trend now called loud budgeting, report saving an average of $629 a month compared to before, simply because their spending finally matches what they actually say they want, instead of what they're too embarrassed to admit they can't afford. The people staying quiet to protect their image aren't protecting anything. They're the ones quietly bleeding money to maintain an illusion that nobody's even checking. My name is Joey, and on this channel, I want to teach you how to save, invest, use, and grow your money so you can have more freedom and retire earlier without depending on the government. Subscribe to the channel and like this video.
Here's the idea that changes how you should think about this for the rest of the video. Silence about money isn't neutral. It's not the safe, polite default everyone treats it as. Every time you say nothing instead of stating a real limit, you're not avoiding a cost. You're just moving it somewhere invisible, usually onto a credit card, a savings goal that keeps sliding, or a number you'll eventually have to face with interest attached. And to be clear, this isn't the same conversation as why looking poor matters. That's about not broadcasting your net worth or your investments, and that advice still holds. This is the opposite half of the equation. Stealth wealth means staying quiet about what you have. Loud budgeting means staying loud about what you're willing to spend right now on this specific thing. You can and should do both at once. A public, boring, unremarkable spending limit paired with a private, growing, none-of-your-business portfolio. Confusing the two is exactly why so many people go broke trying to look rich while actually building nothing underneath the appearance. Rule 1. Say the exact number, not the vague excuse. Maybe next time, and I'm not really feeling it, are polite lies that cost you money because they leave the door open to being talked into it anyway. "I've got $40 for tonight" is a fact nobody can argue with. It ends the negotiation instead of starting one.
This is the specific behavior behind that $629 a month savings figure. It's not that loud budgeters spend less on everything across the board. It's that stating a real number in the moment removes the social pressure that usually pushes people past what they'd planned to spend. Vague excuses invite a counteroffer. Specific numbers don't. Rule 2, set the number before you're standing at the table, not while everyone's already ordering. Deciding in the moment, under social pressure, with a menu in your hand and friends around you, is the worst possible time to make a spending decision. You're tired, you don't want to seem difficult, and the path of least resistance is always to just go along with it. Text the group ahead of time instead. "I've got 150 for outings this month, so I might sit a few out. Nothing personal." You've made the decision once while calm instead of 10 separate times under pressure all month long.
Rule 3. Pair every "not in my budget" with an alternative, not a flat no. A flat no feels like rejection, both to you and to the person hearing it, and rejection is what actually triggers the social embarrassment loud budgeting is supposed to avoid. An alternative keeps the relationship and the plan intact. That restaurant's a bit much for me right now, but I'm in for the one down the street, or I can just meet everyone after for coffee. This one rule alone solves most of the actual resistance people feel about loud budgeting. The fear was never really about saying a number. It was about seeming like you're pulling away from people. The swap down proves you're not. Rule 4. For 1 month, track every single purchase you made specifically because saying no felt harder than saying yes. Not purchases you wanted, purchases you made to avoid an awkward moment. Most people who actually do this exercise find it's the single largest category in their entire discretionary spending, bigger than they'd ever admit to a friend, and far bigger than any one obvious bad habit they've been trying to cut.
That number is your silence tax. It's not a moral failing. It's an unpriced social cost that's been running in the background of your budget for years, and you can't fix a cost you've never actually measured. Rule 5. Pay attention to how people respond when you actually say a real number. The people who adjust, offer alternatives, or just say, "Cool, see you at the next thing," are the relationships that were never about the money in the first place. The people who push back, guilt trip, or quietly stop inviting you are showing you something real about what the relationship was actually built on. This isn't a rule about spending less, it's a filter. Reciprocity only works in relationships built on more than shared spending, and loud budgeting is one of the fastest ways to find out which of your relationships can survive contact with an honest number. Rule 6. Loud budgeting and quiet wealth aren't opposites. They're supposed to run together. Say your spending limit out loud every time without embarrassment. Keep your investment balances, your net worth, your raises, and your windfalls exactly as private as they've always been.
Rule 7. The moment loud budgeting frees up real money, move it out of checking before lifestyle creep finds it. That $629 a month isn't meaningful sitting in a checking account earning nothing. It's meaningful invested. Put that same $629 a month into the market at a historical average return of about 7%, and in 10 years, it's grown to roughly $108,800. Leave it running for 20 years, and it becomes about $327,000. Not from a raise, not from a windfall, just from money that used to disappear into awkward silence at dinner. Here's the natural next question once that money's actually invested. What's it building toward? Not just a bigger number, but the specific point where it replaces a paycheck. That's exactly what Find Your Crossover Point walks you through. A short, practical breakdown for calculating your own number. Links in the description and pinned comment.
This quarter, set a written, standing, loud number for your recurring spending categories. Dining out, gifts, group trips, so you're never deciding from scratch in the moment. And set up an automatic transfer that moves whatever you didn't spend straight into an investment account before you see it in checking. Revisit the number once a quarter, not once a year. Your income, your circle, and your goals all shift faster than an annual budget review can keep up with. Picture that same dinner from the start of this video 6 months later. Someone says, "I've got $40 for tonight." Nobody blinks. Someone else says, "Same, let's just do the place down the street." Nobody feels less than, because the whole group finally stopped pretending. That's what loud budgeting actually is. Not a trend about looking cheap. It's the quiet removal of a tax you've been paying for years without ever seeing the bill. Subscribe to the channel. Every week, I break down the psychology and the real math behind money decisions that feel small but aren't. Next video, the freedom number, and exactly how to calculate the number that actually matters instead of comparing yourself to anyone else's. I'll see you there.